Next, consider following information. Information is given for security X and Y. Expected return is 20% and 15%. Standard deviation is 10% and 7%. In which security an investor would like to make investment? That is a question. Now friends, in this kind of question, wherein what we can see that between two securities, one of the security has more return with more risk. Then in that case, what happens? We have to see that whether we have been provided with the information to follow coefficient of variation criteria or not. What happens that say the question may provide us that say you're required to adopt CV criteria for the purpose of decision making. We may not be provided with say such CV criteria to be adopted. What is CV criteria? I explain that to you. Of course, in this question, the question does not provide the CV criteria, so we are not going to give the decision based on CV criteria, but just I'm giving an explanation of the same to you. As far as the CV criteria is concerned, CV stands for risk for every 1 unit of return. Coefficient of variation is indicating risk for every 1 unit of return, and it is calculated as standard deviation upon x bar. Understand it carefully. Let us say for security X, we understand that risk and return. If at all I make investment in security X, it has a risk of 10% and the return is 20%. So what is the risk of security X for a return of 1% is called CV, and it will be calculated like this: 10 into 1 is 10 divided by 20. So 10 upon 20 comes to 0.50. That is the way risk taken per unit of return can be calculated for X, and similarly we will do it for Y. Understand it carefully friends, that over here, so directly by using this formula also you can compute the answer. Risk of security X is provided to us as 10%, and the return for security X is provided to us as 20%. So the answer is 0.50. Whatever we have done for security X, similarly we can do for security Y. What is the risk? Risk is 8%. And what is the return? A return is 25%. So accordingly we can make the calculation of answer. So for security Y it would be, for security Y the risk is 7% and the return is 15%. So 7 upon 15, that comes to 0.46667, that is 0.47. That is the way the CV, coefficient of variation, can be calculated. For Y it is 0.47. Now since CV is indicating risk taken per unit of return, so in that case we will select a security which is having comparatively lower risk for every 1 unit of return. So in that case we are required to make the selection of the security Y, if at all we have to make the selection based on the CV criteria. Over here CV criteria is not given, so how to give answer, that I am explaining now to you. So write down a note for this. First of all, this is only for understanding purpose. Answer is supposed to be written in some other way. Write down answer. Whenever we have a situation in which one, securities have same risk with different return, comma, select a security with higher return. Full stop. Second, securities having same return with different risk, comma, select security with lower risk. Full stop. Third, one of the security having more return with less risk, comma, select that security. Full stop. With paragraph write down, if there is a situation in which risk increase with return, comma, then we have to see that whether we have been given information about CV criteria to be followed or not. In bracket write down CV is equal to coefficient of variation with paragraph write down, if CV criteria is to be followed, comma, security having lower CV will be selected. Full stop. CV indicates risk taken per unit of return. Full stop. Write down the formula. Standard deviation upon x bar. Security x and security y. What is standard deviation? 10% upon 20%. 0.50. 7% upon 15%. 0.47. In this case, investment should be made in security Y. This is what we understand. Now friends, in this question, the question does not provide the CV criteria to be applied. So how we are required to give answer? We have to give answer that depending upon the risk bearing capacity of the investor, investment will be made. We understand that say with the increase in the risk, return increases. So if at all you want to take more risk, then in that case you should make investment in X. And if at all you want to take less risk, you will make investment in Y. That is the way we are required to give open-ended answer. Remember that say these three situations that I have dictated to you, in that say we do not have to give open-ended answer. In that case we have to give a specific answer only, that the security which is having more return with the same risk, or security having less risk for the same return, security having more return with lower risk will be selected. But over here, say as far as this question is concerned, we are required to give open-ended answer that depending upon the risk bearing capacity of the investor, investor will make investment. So let us answer the question. Investor is advised to make investment as per risk bearing capacity of investor. Full stop. If risk bearing capacity is more, comma, invest in security X because it has higher return. With paragraph read down, if risk bearing capacity is less, comma, select security Y, comma, because it has lower risk. So this is the kind of answer which is required to be given, say in such kind of situation wherein with the increase in the risk, return also increases. That is what we understand. CV criteria will be followed only if at all we have been provided with the information that the CV criteria is supposed to be followed for decision making.